turn it off.
No, it's a visual on there.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Thursday, August 2nd. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additions to the agenda?
No way.
Hearing none, I'll move to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public participation. Is there any public participation? Yes.
Tom Bellamy, 22 Rice Road. Just a reminder that August 21st, the Robert Mill Remediation Committee has a public hearing here at 7:30 with UTRC.
Tuesday?
The Tuesday?
21st.
Yes, 21st.
Yeah.
You know, you can't see the flag with the flags in the way. You can't see.
That's what, 2 weeks?
7:30.
Rodriguez, Mahoney Road, just wanted to, what's the plan on replacing our planning and zoning?
No specific plan right now. I'm sitting in the office part of the time. Lori was in today. Her last day officially is at the end of the week, but she's taking vacation, but she did come in today. There's no real specific plans right now. Just to go back to the Broderick Mill, we'll have the cameras going, so that'll be interesting to see.
Also, she was the economic development officer, wasn't she, in charge?
Yes.
So, again, that position's going to be replaced at one point or another.
Well, one would think so. Further public participation? Okay. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, I move to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 19th, 2018. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Communication. Is there any communication? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move along to board and commission resignations and appointments. Go ahead.
Can we go back to the communication?
Sure.
Okay. I got a communication from a resident on Reservoir Avenue. He owns a property at Reservoir on the corner of Reservoir and Skinner Road. And I guess there was some big washout there. And so I sent an email to Lenny. And he went right over there, and he said they needed to repair both sides of the road, so the resident was happy that
Good.
that got accomplished.
Okay. Board and commissions, resignations and appointments. So I think what we'll do is the reappointments, we'll do it all at once. And we'll take the new appointments individually. So I move to reappoint Robert Leach, Adam Mahan, Richard Pippin, and Kathy Simonelli to the Capital Improvement Planning Committee for a term ending July 31st, 2019. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, I move to appoint William Lopes to the Capital Improvement Planning Committee for a term ending July 31st, 2019. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
How many slots are there?
6 to 9.
6 to 9.
6 to 9. And tonight, we'll probably appoint 7. So that is a discussion we can have. Would you want to ask for more members, or you want to leave the committee the way it is?
No, I just, it was a general question.
Okay.
Bob, my opinion is that the larger that committee, if we can get diverse opinions, is better for the process. So I'd seek additional people
Okay.
for the.
And Kathy, I thought Kathy said no. Well, there you are.
I moved because I was getting blown on. It was freezing in
Yeah,
the spot.
you
It was
can turn
very
one of those
cold.
off if it bothers you.
No, it's fine in the room. It was just, I was like right under it.
Yeah. What, is there a deadline when you want to have a full committee?
Well, we're going to start, there's a very short window once the proposals are due to town hall to the time that we're supposed to have our budget to you. So there's not really a lot of time in there. So, I mean, I would hope to start those meetings. I was planning to start scheduling them like in the next week or so, like get the calendar out there and get the dates set for
Okay.
after they were due.
When do you think will it be after Labor
So I think
Day?
they're due around mid-September, so I would be looking to start the
Starting
meetings right after that, yeah.
Right
That
after
means that the
mid-Sep-
meetings would start in September?
Yes.
Okay, so,
So there's time.
yeah, we could open it up for another month, and that's it.
I mean, there's no point meeting until we have proposals to look at.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. And you get the proposals from everybody.
right.
all
And
the
I think they're all
departments, I
due
should say.
here
Yeah,
early September sometime. So my goal would be to start our meetings right after that. Because,
Perfect.
again, the window isn't very long to begin with, so the sooner we get going and the more dates we have picked early on, the less likely we'll have all kinds of conflicts and things.
good. Okay, so back to William Lopes. Any further discussion?
Second.
Okay. All's in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Randy Reichley, the Capital Improvement Planning Committee for a term ending July 31st, 2019. Is there a
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we go away from capital improvement to Susan Gaffney Sullivan for the American Heritage River Commission for a term expiring November 1st, 2019.
Second?
Okay, any discussion on Susan? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Finally, William Towers for the Capital Improvement Planning Committee for a term expiring July 31st, 2019.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Done, unfinished business.
That was quick.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a very short meeting.
Don't say that. We're gonna jinx it, Bob. All right, so I am inviting all of you to be a part of our parade for Heritage Day and to come to Heritage Day.
Oh, thank you.
You guys sat in different orders, I had to reorganize. And then I also, from back in April and May, we had done the shoe drive. We finally got the paperwork from the Souls for Souls company, just kind of saying like that the town of East Windsor 250th donated. So I just wanted to provide this letter to you, and I haven't put it too big.
Thank you, dear.
Just so you guys have a copy of it, but we did manage to collect and donate 897 pairs of shoes and 23 singles. So just over 900. It was very successful. So I want to thank everybody who donated and everything else again. So with that, we have a couple of things that are coming up, and then along with Heritage Day for our final event. So Saturday on the 4th is the East Windsor Day at the Trolley Museum from 10 to 4. all day. I think it's half price East Windsor residents, half price for East Windsor residents. There's also student discounts, or senior discounts?
Senior discounts.
Senior discounts. So that's happening this Saturday. And then next Tuesday is the National Night Out from 5 to 8 at the Res. It's a Tuesday night. We have it's a free event. There's going to be band and swimming and snacks, kids activities, and it's also going to be the car show. So a lot is going into that night. We will actually be having our meeting there since we're having a table, so come stop by. And then on August 11th is the Historical Society's Ice Cream Social. That is from 12 to 4, and we will also have a table there as well. So anywhere that we're going to be basically for our meetings and for the August 4th and 11th events, we will have a basket to collect items to go into the time capsule for September. So September 22nd is Heritage Day. We have the parade. So far we've got roughly 35 people participating in the parade. We do have a lot of neighboring town mayors and selectmen, so it'd be great to see all you guys there as well, whether it's walking, a car, or float, or whatever you guys want to do. And we have some bands that are marching. We have a bunch of stuff, so it's going to be a really fun day. And then on the 23rd, we will be burying the time capsule, so that is the final day.
What's kind of a time schedule for Heritage Day? Like,
So the parade kicks off from the Res at 2:50 p.m. and then fireworks are roughly when it gets dark, so like 8:30ish.
okay.
Fireworks will be roughly a half an hour long, so go till 9. We do have a shuttle service that'll be going the entire night. The stops that we have are the Res, here for the Broadbrook School parking and the church parking lot, and then at the middle school as well. So we do have a free bus shuttle service that's going to be going around town in this area. And
So the parade starts at 2:50,
yes, yep.
and it assembles at the Res.
Yep, it'll start at the Res, so it'll come down the road and then end at the Harrington property. There might have to be a couple of people that have to pull off into the middle school, just because there's not a ton of space for everybody who's in the parade. But we're going to try to make room. There's going to be very limited parking at the Harrington property, but we have the middle school parking lot for ourselves. So there'll be some parking. There's definitely handicap parking on site, but then all non-handicap parking are going to be down the street a little bit.
Rebecca, the end of the parade at the Harrington property,
Yep.
what will happen there?
So we're going to have the Broadbrook Fire Department doing bingo like they used to do at the carnival. We have about 5 food vendors. We're going to have a bounce house for the kids. There's going to be vendor tables available for people who sign up. We've sent those out. If the town would like a booth to have, you're welcome to have one. Just let me know and send in a
Send
form.
out. There's someone in, I think, scheduled. The town's going to have
For a table?
I have a table, yeah.
I didn't get it yet.
Well, okay.
If you want one, just send
Oh,
it.
it's Melissa. I gave it to her when she made up that flyer.
That's for the National Night. I'm saying for Heritage Day.
Oh,
We're doing one, but if you don't,
oh no, I was getting mixed up.
yeah.
Okay.
And what else do we have there?
So what's the date of the Heritage?
Kind of horseshoes.
Yeah, we're gonna have a horseshoe tournament. What was it,
The
Charlie?
date of the,
The 22nd of September. Yeah, we're gonna have a horseshoe tournament. We're gonna have other kind of kids games and lawn games. There's gonna be some bands and some entertainment there. Am I missing anything?
I think that's everything.
I think I covered it all.
Clowns.
And we're looking for volunteers.
Yeah, we're looking for volunteers. I will send Amanda our link to our volunteer website that we have to put it on the website. It's on our website, but it's not the town's website
Sure,
yet.
that's
So
great.
I will send that to her. And I think that's it. We're still selling merchandise up until Heritage Day, and we'll sell it for a little bit afterwards.
I see tons of people.
I see
wearing
shirts
this
and hats everywhere.
Yeah.
It's super,
Yeah,
super exciting.
people that don't, haven't traditionally participated in stuff it's like everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yep. And then also for the ice cream social, I know that people had been asking about the bicentennial items. Those will now be on display starting August 11th at the Historical Society. They're going to have a whole display of the stuff that was inside the time capsule for what they can fit and obviously display. So I think that covers everything.
okay.
Thanks, guys.
Good job.
Okay, casino. I I did call Connor Hurley today. He's one of our representatives, just to see what was going on. I talked to him a little about the fact that in the Federal Register, the Mohegan Sun was put there, but not the Mashantucket Pequot. And his explanation was this, that the Mohegan Sun signed a compact with the state, and I guess the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Interior Department are required to put compacts in the Federal Register. But the Mashantucket Pequot signed an agreement with the state. So they said, well, we're not obligated to put it in the Federal Register yet, because it's an agreement, not a compact. I'm not sure what the difference is, but they're arguing about that right now, so there you go.
So, did you ask Connor if the BIA had to approve any changes to an agreement between the state and the tribal nation?
Well,
because if they don't have to publish it, do they have to approve it? Isn't
They
the act
don't.
of publishing it?
They say they don't have to.
they don't have to publish it.
They don't have to approve it, according to him.
I'm not sure. That's a good question, Judge. But I do know that the state legislature, in their law, yeah, they said they wanted the compact in the Federal Register, so.
But again, the compact is in the Federal Register.
One.
But
But
there is only one.
Okay, all right. Well,
So I mean, not you, but I mean, if the game is to start to play word games,
yes.
I mean,
it's apparently
there's
what
one
it is.
compact and it's been approved.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're in charge.
I was just going to tell you.
Well, you're down there more than I am.
Bob, he also said that the state of Connecticut and the Mashantucket tribe are pursuing this litigation in court, and because the Mohegan Sons have already settled, they've dropped out of that lawsuit. He also said that he thought that litigation would be completed in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and that their plan is to still begin construction in the September-October time period. I asked him whether the litigation was that imminent, the completion of it was that imminent, and he said that he would know better about that tomorrow, and he said he would call me and let me know what they said. He also promised that either he or Dave Capiello would be at the next meeting to give us all a first-hand rundown on what the status is as of 2 weeks from now.
And he told me our senators and representatives are active in trying to push this thing through too, so we've got a unified force.
That's good.
He did not see this as being a huge issue. I said, but you're not started and you're still in court, and he said, I don't see it as a big issue. He said there's precedent, they've already signed off on Mohegan Sun, and he said it really is now kind of a discussion of what the differences are between the two agreements.
Okay, good. More, something else about the casino? Or? Okay, we'll move on. And new business is discussion and approval of WPCA ordinance and forward to town meeting. Colin, I need you to say what this is about.
Certainly, I'd be happy to. Okay, currently there are 5 ordinances dealing with the WPCA. 4 of them have to do with regulations, but we have regulations. And the establishment of the WPCA by state statute allows it to be an autonomous agency that creates its own regulations, owns own public hearings. So our attorney, in his review of the ordinances, has suggested that the original ordinance that established the sewer authority be kept and rewritten in a simplified manner, and we remove the other 4 ordinances because we have regulations. Every time we want to modify a regulation, we have to go modify an ordinance. Now we have 2 documents that have to match at all times. And there's no particular value to this. I believe that this was established originally because you had to start somewhere. Well, we're way past the start somewhere phase, and it's a lot easier for those that have to deal with the WPCA to go to one office, get all their correct data in one place, and not have to chase ordinances at the town hall and then regulations somewhere else.
Well, are you saying you have rewritten it so there's only one ordinance now?
The goal is to have one ordinance. You should have a copy of it. And that's our intent. To get it down to basically a one-page document. That's the ordinance that established and explains how it functions, and that the selectmen appoint the members and how many members, and the basic structure of it, similar to the Conservation Commission. And then the authority itself establishes all its rules as to how sewers function, rather than making a town ordinance every time you want to have a rule dealing with sewers. Now, anything we do in that regard as the regulations has a public hearing, it's advertised, we do the whole routine so that the public is as involved as they choose to be, just like doing an ordinance. But having 2 sets of documents that have to match is just a big burden and a time waster. It's not accomplishing anything. Because people come to the WPCA to get the rules. They don't go to the ordinance to find the rules. And we got untold numbers of pages of documentation that's being maintained for no particular value. Our attorney went through this over the period of a year to come up with a solution that would make sense and have less of a burden on the town itself.
And this covers everything that the previous 4 documents covered?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything is totally inclusive. Yes. Right now, all our regulations match the ordinances.
Okay. But this was drawn by the attorney for the WPCA?
Correct.
Okay. We need to have the town attorney review this?
Certainly should.
Okay.
So can I,
Yes.
the way, so I work with a state agency, and
Yep.
when my agency wants to adopt regulations, there needs to be a statute that gives us permission to adopt regulations governing that particular topic.
Correct.
Do you have any such
Yes.
constraints? So what's
Absolutely.
what authorizes WPCA to adopt regs on number of hookups, as an example?
It's outlined in the ordinance that we're proposing.
Can you point it out?
Chapters 103 and 446K of the Connecticut General Statutes are exactly where that authorization lies. I mean, and, you know, we establish our own budget, we collect our own fees, yada, da, da, da. We are an agency that functions completely under the guidelines of DEEP and Connecticut General Statutes. Everything we do meets those requirements.
Okay,
Chapter 103. Some municipal statutes. We need to have a lawyer look at this.
Okay, I think that's a reasonable thing to do.
Great. Yeah, well, we're not here to rush it, we're here to do it correctly. There's no time frame. We're not saying we've got to get it done by some date. We're just proposing it to try to simplify town government.
So the four go into the one, is that,
Pardon me?
the four go into one, is that what you're
No,
saying?
the four disappear entirely,
Okay.
because we already have those regulations. When the sewer authority was originally established, it didn't. Because it didn't have a chance to do it, so you had to start somewhere. The starting point is now over, and now you have an authority that functions completely, and all the controls on sewers are in one place, as opposed to, well, right now, it's in two places. Having to go to a town meeting to get an ordinance to match a regulation change means you had a public hearing for one thing, then you're gonna have a town meeting to adopt what you just adopted.
Well, are you saying that the other four, the four ordinances
Yes.
that existed or exist prior to this,
Yes.
that they duplicate what the regulations say? The regulations have in effect superseded those? And that's why you can write a single ordinance, because the regulations cover what was otherwise in the old ordinances?
Yes, nothing's missing, nothing's being thrown away. What the problem is trying to keep two documents identical in two different places through two different processes.
So the chapters 103 or 446K, I mean, I'm looking at the most recent WPCA ordinance that was adopted was in 2014. That's an 8-page ordinance.
Yep. And all it is a duplicate of our regulations. We brought that forward so we'd get the ordinance to match the regulations we've adopted.
So
And
that ordinance is going away, but the regulation is not
the
going away.
regulations don't go anywhere. All we're trying to do is simplify government.
So, well, kind of. So there's a public hearing held by the WPCA on any proposed reg change?
Absolutely.
And who adopts the reg change after the regulations have been heard?
The WPCA.
And what's the check on the WPCA?
DEEP. We have to submit everything to DEEP and they have to approve it.
Well, yeah, I get the procedural check, but if the public hearing, what's to safeguard the people who are governed by WPCA if they say we absolutely don't want A, and the WPCA says, well, we're going to do it anyway? What's the protection that the voters have? As it stands now, although I acknowledge and appreciate the frustration that the process is cumbersome.
Okay.
As it stands now, when you have to adopt a regulation by WPCA that has to match an ordinance, the people's check is the town meeting.
You know, it's the other way around.
How do you think?
We go back with the regulation and try to get the ordinance to match the regulation. So
Right,
then you go to town meeting after the fact. And the 3 people who show up to vote on it approve it, and the rest of the people don't know what happened anyhow. There you go. It's just complications for not much benefit.
But that, in order for the reg to be effective, it needs to be synonymous with the ordinance, right? It needs to be, it does not need to be, so you just said they had to match.
We are autonomous under state statute. Therefore, if we create a regulation, it applies.
So then why do we even need to change the current process if the town meeting changing the ordinance is irrelevant anyway?
Because of the complexity of government, it's offering nothing to the public. They still have to comply with those regulations.
But you said that the ordinance had to match the regs.
Yeah, you rewrite the ordinance because it contains all the text of the regulation. Why? No benefit. The regulation exists, and we have an ordinance that says exactly the same words.
When you say you're autonomous, when the sewer plant was built or the expansion of it, whatever, that was bonded by the town,
Yep.
correct? Okay, so.
That's correct.
So it was not independent of the WPCA to do that from a financial perspective?
That is
There
correct.
was an agreement there. The town bonded for that expansion project, and over the course of the life of the bond, the WPCA paid the town back what the costs were. That's why about 10 years ago, we had a $1.2 million revenue hole, because we started counting that as permanent instead of expiring revenue.
Exactly.
So we essentially did our neighbors a
The
favor.
town was an agency that could bond. There's a
Right.
difference.
And
And for cost to the people, that was a functioning thing. If we had to go out for bonding, we'd have to establish a whole program for that, and that would just increase the cost.
and so who has the authority to change the tax rate that you charge for the sewer
We do exclusively.
exclusively?
We set our own budget, we set our own rates, we collect our own fees.
And that's per statute, not per your own
Correct.
regulations.
Oh, no, it's not us. That's how it's done. And the attorney's take on this is unusual for a WPCA to have town ordinances to run its business.
But I thought you said the ordinances didn't matter.
No, what I'm saying is, having these ordinances and trying to match them up to a regulation that we enact that has its full force of law is a wasted effort, and it's just wasting time for government to have to go through the entire process of publishing and noticing and holding a town meeting to adopt something that's already in force.
So one more time, I don't mean to be.
No, go right
obtuse
ahead.
here. If the regulations that the WPCA has, and you have statutory powers that are granted to you, I don't know what they are, but they're there.
That's fine.
If the regulations adopted by the WPCA, who operate under the statute but are appointed by the Board of Selectmen, don't match the ordinances that are adopted by our town meeting, what happens?
We bring that text to, and we have done this in the past, all modifications to the WPCA ordinances on the books have been done by us. We brought the stuff forward. We changed our regulation, it doesn't match the ordinance, we want the ordinance changed.
Yeah, that's not my question. What happens if they don't match?
Oh, I think ours still take precedent. We set our own rules by statute. So there you are. In other words, when we say there are no private sewers in the town of East Windsor to be established ever again, that's a rule, done. Okay? It happens to be in an ordinance now because we modified the ordinance by bringing it to town meeting, but that already applied. Nobody can build a private sewer system in this town. That's the way the regulations are, that's how it is. The ordinance says it, but we brought that forward to have the ordinance say it because we didn't know that the ordinance was redundant and unnecessary. We have legal representation that tells us the only town in Connecticut that does this. Why are you doing it? It's just an effort, but accomplishes nothing.
Just out of curiosity, when was that regulation that you couldn't have private sewers enacted?
Let's see. 1980? No, 1990, I believe. Let me see which one it is. I gave you all the
90-7?
ordinances, so.
Yeah, I don't have one.
No, that's okay. I mean, I just, it says the following, and the following's not there.
We most recently updated it in ordinance 90-7.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's the one.
But that amended a previous ordinance adopted in 1982.
Which was adopted in 1969. So there you go. the history's there, but in 1969 is when the WPCA was established in the first place. And so ordinances had to do something to be able to have an agency that had these powers, but things have developed over the years. State statutes take precedent over our ordinance.
Okay, so why don't we just send it?
Yeah, we'll send it to the lawyer, and we'll bring it to the next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with that, none whatsoever. I say, we're not here to try to make something happen quickly, we just want to make it happen eventually.
Okay, any further discussion on WPCA? All right, moving along to tax exemption ordinances. And we're working on those, and I'll pass these out so you get a general idea of what we're doing. We'll pass them down. We changed them as up until yesterday. They haven't finished them. Okay, what we did, to give you a little background, there's three ordinances that we'd like to make. And this is because resolutions were passed that said basically what these ordinances say. It was for tax exemptions, but you can't tax on a resolution passed by the board. You have to tax on a law, which is an ordinance. So we have to rewrite these ordinances, and one is for the additional exemption for veterans or spouses eligible for exemption under Section 1281 of the Connecticut General Statutes. So we can give an exemption to veterans or spouses, and we were doing it, but we shouldn't have been doing it. So this is just correcting what we were doing. Another one is a local tax relief for persons permanently and totally disabled, and another one is additional exemptions for persons who are blind and eligible for exemptions under Section 1281 of the Connecticut General Statute. So what we did, I had the assessor write the ordinances. We sent it to a lawyer, and he wrote them, or rewrote what she had written. And then yesterday, our assessor just wanted to change a few things. The lawyer called it tax assessor. She didn't like that. She says, I'm an assessor, not a tax assessor. But then there's other things too. And one thing we'll have to decide on is in the ordinance for spouses, and veterans and spouses eligible, at one point, it was, when this resolution was enacted, it was $1,000. So in other words, you could lower your assessment by $1,000 in which it was taxed, which probably would be about $34. Now the regulations have changed, so we can vary that amount. And so we really have to decide on what amount, if we want to change the 1,000 or not. That's up to us to decide. I think the tax assessor, what did she say? So since the resolution was enacted in 1984 and this town only allows $1,500 as the base exemption, my recommendation would be to increase the additional amount. This would allow, considering only people who qualify have a low income would qualify. So we can raise that.
I think we should.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the
Maybe
amount.
forward till now.
Yeah.
Did she have any recommendations as to what
Well,
other
she didn't.
towns did?
No, she didn't.
Did Pullman reviews or Updike?
Updike. So we'll have the attorney review it once more, and we have to, I can via email, I guess, unless somebody wants to make a suggestion now of how much the
I'd like to see what surrounding towns
Okay.
do in theirs, so that we're
All right.
somewhere in the range to be fair to the people and fair to the town.
Sounds good.
Also, if we could get these, I know you were working on them until yesterday, but if we could get these ahead of time, like included in our packet. that
Oh,
would-
yeah, well, you can now, because they're pretty well done.
Is this intended to be retroactive?
No,
Okay. Here we go.
So that's a good point. So that means that this wouldn't take effect until July 1,
yes.
practically, even if it's enacted.
Yeah, we're just getting it out of the way, in a sense, we're in no rush. But it was pointed out this tax season, so
Yeah.
I came aware of it.
These would go in effect July 1,
July when?
19.
19.
Yeah, if you look, it's actually, that's specified in the language, section 5 of each ordinance.
Okay, any further discussion?
Just for consistency's sake, why are we adding tax to tax assessor in some places and removing it others?
We shouldn't. I wasn't aware of that, Jason. Where do you see it?
Section 2, so I'm looking at local property tax relief for persons permanently and totally disabled. Section 2, we're adding it and taking it out in 2 different sentences. That might have been just a miss, because I'm not seeing.
Yeah, okay, that's
Why
good.
don't you just clean that up?
Yeah,
And then we're leaving it in persons who are blind and eligible for exemption in section 3, in the second line. And then also in section 4 of the veterans and spouses disabled. It's just not consistent.
well, I didn't understand section 3. What's the problem with section 3?
Section 3, the fourth to the last word from, in the second line from the right-hand side of the page.
You're talking about blind and eligible? Oh,
Blind and eligible, section 3, in the second line, all the way on the right-hand side, tax assessor.
oh, yeah, okay. Wasn't in blue, I didn't see it. Okay. We'll do, we can easily do a search on tax.
And then in the veterans or spouses eligibility in section 4, the fourth line, there's the same thing. Did Updike specify why they wanted, or was it Patty that wanted tax out of it?
It actually was Helen, tax assessor, didn't want to be called a tax
Oh.
assessor.
Should that be consistent with the language in the charter? I don't know if the charter specifies an assessor or a tax assessor, but it should be consistent whichever it is.
Okay. We can do that.
It probably is just assessor, but I don't know.
Further discussion?
No.
Okay. That,
Before we move on,
yeah.
do you want us to review this now?
Now being, not at the meeting really, but we're going to have, two things. We want to check to see what other towns are doing. So that's one thing we're going to do. We're going to have the lawyer review this for the final time and clean it up. I'll send that out to you and.
Then we'll get them in advance so we can look at them?
Yes, yes.
So we need not review these?
No, I just wanted to call it to your attention now, talk to you about it.
Okay.
And,
All right.
So consider this in advance. Okay, if there's no more discussion, we'll go on to selectmen comments and reports. Andy, you're up.
There had been no EDC meeting since our last meeting, so no report.
Yeah, and I looked at the schedule in August. There is not an EDC meeting scheduled, but I think we're going to try to schedule one. At least we'll see if people want to meet, because we got a lot going on, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Did
Jason?
you get a chance to talk to Eric about having Bob Light or someone interface with the resource center? As an interface that Lori was doing before?
Well, right now I'm doing it.
Okay.
And Eric really isn't around, so really I'm doing the interface.
All right.
And you're certainly welcome to call, or you can get involved too. You could be an interface. Just
It's been a quiet couple of weeks. The only thing I was going to throw out there were a couple of the upcoming events that Rebecca mentioned, so repeat.
okay. It's going to be a short meeting. Charlie?
And this past Wednesday, the Trolley Museum organization, the president and chairman, held a reception for the selectmen were invited to attend. Andy attended, and he can comment further. And there were some townspeople there. Bill McGurk, who was formerly the CEO of the Rockville Bank, was there, and a gentleman who represents Eversource, who runs this whole region, was there. So it was a nice event, and it was a Wednesday evening, and they had some food and things there, and got to see the inside, which I haven't seen for a very long time. I don't know if Andy, you want to comment further?
Just that that organization, as you well know, is 76 years old. They had a 75th anniversary last year. They wrote a really good proposal probably 5 or 6 years ago that I guess got the bonding and it installed out there in the legislature. Not that the town should get involved in that, but they are trying hard, I think, to set up an organization that can go out and look for sources of money to improve and expand that operation, and that's certainly good. They have a new director, a young lady over there, and she's working hard, I think, to make that place better.
Okay, try anything more?
Yeah, just as Andy said, yeah, their issue is money, like everyone's, and they have I know some people might remember the aisle of safety in Hartford, the kind of canopy over where the buses were and stuff. That's out there in the front. They moved it to there, and they're looking to restore that. And it was kind of interesting that aisle of safety, that whole thing was built in, I think you said 1913, if I'm remembering right.
Century.
And that the company that made the tiles for the roof of that is still in business, and they still have the molds to make those same tiles to do it over. And it was kind of interesting that the train station in Windsor Locks, that there was money that was there, was like $30,000 that they had gotten, and that, I don't know specifically what changed, but they couldn't use that money and had to go to someone else. Do you remember the reason why?
I don't remember.
Yeah, they couldn't use it for the continued renovation there. So it had to go to a nonprofit, and something like this that would be like the Airplane Museum or something, but it's the Trolley Museum. So to renovate that aisle of safety, they think it's a little over $100,000, and Windsor Locks gave them that $30,000. So they got a good start on getting that thing to get going, and they're just looking for more ways and things to get that accomplished, because that would be nice if they were able to do it. The corners of it got damaged. I don't know if that happened while they moved it or what, but you know, that would be a nice addition there. It's quite a facility.
Okay. Steve, do you have anything? And I don't either, so that will conclude the meeting. I'll move, we take a 5-minute break and go into executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Hey, Long, get an ice cream. Or maybe go to the bar, I don't know. I gotta turn off this recording. Turn off the... Pardon me? I'm gonna turn off the mic.
Who would have thought?
How's Galen?
Fantastic.
Good.